Like this stuff, like this
They're
isn't
drug
something
dealers.
that,
Got it.
yeah. Um, I'm sorry, I got put on the spot now, and I'm
It's
panicking.
okay. Don't take a deep breath
Hmm.
and just come up with wild, crazy shit.
That the that the lady had that the lady countess had also had some was unaware of this, and she wanted in,
All right.
and when he wouldn't, that's when she pushed for this tragic end to him.
Okay.
If
So,
if I'm out there, that
nope,
if
that's
I
fine.
okay, okay,
That's all good.
all right.
So, you immediately go into detail explaining the business dealings between Ignils and the late Count. And you go
Mm-hmm.
into detail about how they're effectively drug dealers. They're pushing poison, they're pushing drugs, they're pushing all
Mm-hmm.
kinds of nasty shit.
Yeah.
And Ignils right away gets very flustered and goes, "You liar! That's a lie!" But doesn't phase you. You keep going. Um, you then posit that Lady Shajar wanted in on this because she was kept out of the loop,
Mm-hmm.
and that's her turn to go. That's nonsense. You're a liar. What lies this is? And you wrap it up with that the moment that Ignils cut her out of it, that he forbade her to be included in it, is when she she demanded meet a tragic end to to.
Mm-hmm.
Are you saying that she killed him, or that sorry? Are you saying that she killed him, or that Ignils killed him?
I'm saying that Ignils killed him.
Ignils killed him. Okay, so all right, let me walk that back.
I'm
So
sorry.
she wanted in on it, and Henriel wanted none of that. Henriel wanted her out, like didn't want her
Mm-hmm.
included. But Ignil saw an opportunity. He figured that um, lady Sharjar would be way more manipulative and way more controllable. So she pushed for it, and it was her idea, and Ignil's readily agreed, and thus took him out. And you have weaved this incredible story, and there's lots of murmurs and shocked expressions, and you've caught both the lady and um, Ignil's flat-footed. They were not expecting any of it to come out. And all they can muster up is this, but lies, this is lies, nonsense. You speak nonsense. And Lady Sharjar goes, "What evidence do you have?"
I stand up and I point
Do it.
out that I had a tremendous sample of this poison his family peddles. Because, and I point to Darshi, and yeah, you know what? Darshi's the one who gave me all this good junk. We had some last night, and it was amazing. And this morning I decided to share it with my friend, the shadowy cloaked figure.
And gasps all throughout the hall at this revelation.
However, I object at the at calling this wonderful substance contraband or poison, for it is marvelous. But it's still a tragedy that a man is dead because of its existence. And then I sit down. Hashtag legalize it.
Thank you, Brickroad. I apologize for stumbling through that.
Anything else for Ignils?
That's all I got. I figure I've thrown the monkey wrench into the works.
I stand up. Is it safe to assume that because this material is considered contraband, that there's like a law against selling it or trading it or whatever? Is that a safe assumption?
There's a theoretical law, but you know.
Right. But like, if you get caught, if you get caught selling this, it's a bad thing. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been a shady deal.
Yes.
Okay. I ask Ignils, hypothetically, say you were a merchant who sells the mistress at exceptional profit, but these deals are always made under the table because of the unjust laws against its trade and consumption. Hypothetically, if you were such a merchant and you stood to gain control of a seat in the Senate who could change the law, you would stand to gain a considerable deal, would you not?
And Ignil's face turns red with rage. You've seen this before. I do not know what you are talking about.
I mean,
it's a simple question. If he was selling a drug that would be more profitable if it was legal, and the Senate has the power to overturn its status as contraband, it would behoove him to control seats in the Senate, yeah?
Yes, I suppose it would, but then again, anyone who controls a Senate seat would also have considerable power to influence their own pockets.
I ask him if he's tried the mistress personally. I highly recommend it.
Aguas!
I ask him if he has heard the same rumors I have, here and there, that perhaps he's not already a senator, is he? Because I'm about to accuse him of wanting to be a senator.
Yeah,
you know
he
what?
is a senator. He is a senator. Yeah, he's a senator.
Okay.
I think. Hold on. I have notes. I'm pretty sure he's a senator. Yes, he is a senator.
Okay.
The daughter is not.
Okay. Then yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. That the reason the deal went so wrong is because Henriel wanted to keep it all under the table, whereas Ignils wanted to legitimize it, and that was the nature of their conflict. Ignils decided to have him killed so he could stack the Senate with somebody else who would be more conducive to him.
So you're painting two pictures. You're
I'm
painting an additional picture.
Painting a lot of goddamn pictures at this point.
Okay. I was saying there's two pictures being painted here.
Mm-hmm.
One was that Lady Sharjar was in on it.
Yeah.
That's why that's why he was killed.
Mm-hmm.
Also, that he wanted to legalize it. Ignils wanted to legalize it. And Henriel didn't. And that's why Ignils had him killed.
I'm going to insinuate that he came to the party planning to kill Henriel, and that when he got here and he figured out that, or Sharjar approached him with the same wish, he took advantage of the situation.
Okay.
Like, he came here already planning to do it, and it would have gotten done with or without Sharjar. So Sharjar is kind of just a mope in this situation.
Of course.
And really, when you think about it, she shouldn't be found guilty of any wrongdoing, grief-stricken as she is over the loss of her husband. I really hope that Utu doesn't point out that doesn't make sense. I already know it doesn't make sense.
no.
Yeah, make a cunning. I was gonna say make a cunning risk.
Yeah, let's do that.
I like this 3-card Monty we're playing over here.
That's barely a pass.
That is a pass.
Brickroad's painting pictures like Bob Ross.
No, he's not.
There are no mistakes, only happy accidents.
I thank him for his time, and I thank him for producing such a beautiful daughter, and then I sit down. God, this guy's gonna fucking kill me too.
Yep.
Anything else? Anything left for Ignals?
No, I think we're. I think we pretty much torched that garbage fire.
Listen, we'll burn that bridge when we get there.
Ignals storms back into the crowd.
Did they give him a
Anything else?
wide berth?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So we've sowed the seeds of doubts.
Are you calling
no,
anyone else? Any other witnesses?
I'm not.
I'm not, no.
I mean, should we call the accused? Or should we leave it, let him keep his mouth shut?
That could go either way. I'll leave that up to you. You're the timeline master.
No. We already tried that. It didn't work when he was being accused. Remember?
Yep.
We're just going to let him sit there and keep his mouth shut.
Okay. Closing arguments. Jar Jar stands up in front of everyone, and she's a mess. She's been accused. She just lost her husband. She's been accused of conspiracy, conspiring with Ignals, and it's all gotten to her. It's very unbecoming. It's genuinely ridiculous that the shape she's in now, but she tries to deliver a closing argument of the absolute lunacy of the stories being told today, when she has done her mighty best to paint a very small, precise, and clear picture of how Rios was the only one found outside of the room using concrete evidence. And while these stories being spun of contraband and bad business deals are all very intriguing, they are nothing more than that. They are nothing more than tall tales being spun by desperate people trying to defend a desperate person. And she's nothing more than that.
I would point out in our side of the closing arguments that her witnesses that she's brought forth are someone who has demonstratively lied, because by eyewitness account, and he nods to Rezi,
I'm half asleep.
and also that one of her other witnesses unblooded.
And also, she would have a vested interest in the tall tales that we were supposedly weaving.
Sorry, I'm making... anything else?
That's all I got.
Rezi is sleeping?
I'm half asleep. It's starting to get to me.
Okay.
I don't have any closing statement to make, if that's what you mean.
That is... okay. Yeah, and the jury reconvenes in less than 5 minutes. They all find Rios not guilty, and 4 of them believe that Lady Shajar and Ignils have conspired to murder Count Henriol, and they are taken away. They're going to have their own trial in front of the Senate at a later point in time. But there is one final thing that needs to be resolved right now, and that is who will be appointed to the Senate in Henriel Tamel's place, and who will get his lands.
Is this going to be the same person? Well, no, I point out that Lady Shajar will obviously inherit the lands after she's found innocent of any wrongdoing in her Senate trial.
You don't know that. This is Kettler speaking, by the way.
Ah. The honest, loyal, gargantuan man.
Kepler.
You might say he's also a beefcake.
Well, no, you didn't say that. But he says you don't know that, and honestly, considering that she's been found guilty here, it seems unlikely that the Senate will find her any differently.
So we're not going further into these sessions, but I like to think that Resi goes and testifies at her trial and gets her off. She doesn't deserve
That
to
is
be
for a separate time.
Yeah.
One beyond the scope of this story at the moment.
I don't have any horse in the Senate rates. This is all Utu's functionality here.
And I mean, Utu is not going to speak up and put his own name forward. He's gonna let those who he's gonna let others do that for him.
And Aban would speak up and slap Utu. Utu here would be a wonderful senator.
Yes, I'm sure he would.
Unlike that jackhole right there, and he's gonna point at Resi.
I'm not a senator!
I'm saying you would make a terrible senator.
I mean, you're not wrong. It's also an extraordinarily dull job, and I wouldn't want it in the first place.
And for the first time, Cyrenix speaks up, makes his way through the crowd, and says, "Yes, I too believe that Utu would make a fine senator, and we should be honored to have him have his voice on the Senate."
I'll keep an eye. I'll be watching Cyrenix, cause yeah.
And Kettler nods and says, "Very well, if there are no objections." And Rios stands up. He says, "I object."
Oh.
Considering that the Senate seat is in my family's name, and these are my family's lands, and that I may inherit these lands at one point, and that the fate of Lady Shajar is currently unknown, the most sensible and the most responsible thing to do is to put me to the Senate and make me in charge of the lands.
With all due respect, I believe I would have a better handle on the intricacies of the duties of the Senate than you would. So.
Duty.
Maybe I haven't made myself clear. As the last surviving member of the Tamil family, currently, depending on the fate of Lady Shajar, these lands belong to me, therefore the
You're
Senate
welcome to
seat
them.
belongs to me. I can, at the very least, represent it on Shajar's behalf, until which time, whatever her fate is sealed or she is found innocent, then the seat could be returned to her and have it rightfully appointed to her.
Yo, when did Homeboy wake up and find his scrote?
Yeah, no joke.
That's what I want to know.
And there's uncomfortable murmuring happening. as-
Aban will like give a hearty clap. He'll be like, "Yes, good job." He'll
He
just start.
does not respond.
He'd be like, he goes, "You like." Bon will be just happy that he stood up for himself and just like cheer him on.
Utu, how does that make you feel that a bond is abandoning you?
Yeah.
I mean,
I'll remember that
I
next
have-
time.
I have absolutely. Utu will remember that.
Utu will remember that.
It popped up.
Yes, because I have all this say on who gets to be a senator because I am just like I'm a child.
You almost lost
Yeah,
your
but-
sword, so...
Right. I got my sword. It's mine. You can't have it. I also I do need to like get the ball rolling on the duel of honor between Aban and Rezi.
With our makeshift jury / Senate.
Right. About how he publicly shamed me and gave
We'll
insult.
get to that. we'll get to that, but we've got pressing matters at the forefront. We have the nomination of Utu towards the Senate and Baron Rios standing in his way, claiming that the seat and the lands are his, at least until Lady Shajar's fate is known.
As I understand the points of order, the Senate does the House does determine who. The Lords of House would determine who is to take the Senate seat. And unless you can convince someone to nominate someone to the place, and get the majority of the heads of House to vote for you, I don't see how you could make such a claim.
I don't think I need to make such a claim. I think you have already made the claim for me. You and your friends and your other friend here. And he starts to repeat the very rosy picture of strength and masculinity that Rezi recited as part of the opening statement.
I call it ode to a beefcake.
And he wraps it up with, as the only one who is intimately familiar with the lands and strong enough to protect these lands, I declare them mine, unless you wish to challenge me for
I have no claim on the lands.
And with the lands come the Senate.
Now, is that actually true, or is that just something he's claiming?
He's claiming
That's
both.
what he's claiming.
He's claiming both.
Okay.
Utu is right in that there will be a vote. And it is entirely possible that Rios is exposing his hand a little too much. But there's a reason why he's invoking the flowery image from before about masculinity and strength. And because, as you said, possession is 10/10 of the law.
Yep.
So do you challenge me, then, for this Senate seat?
I think you could take him.
Let me look over at my character sheet that has no virtues of strength. But yeah, I will.
Okay. Let me pull up this character sheet.
So, everybody convened for this trial, and these 4 knuckleheads rolled in, one of which is accused of murder. The other 3 are standing as a defense. They win the trial, then 2 of them kill the other 2.
But for the Ven, it was Tuesday.
Oh.
All right. Let me pull up the dueling rules here. Actually, I'm gonna... Matt, why don't you have this bookmarked? Well, I did. But
See,
Why don't you have this bookmark? Surely my players will not duel each other. That would just be silly.
Of course, he has 5 different sections for the duel. Because
Yeah.
of course he does.
why wouldn't he?
I actually think I remember the rules, but okay. So first thing is first. Why is it prowess? It shouldn't be prowess. Prowess doesn't make sense. Oh no, prowess does make sense. I'm thinking of something else. All right. What's your prowess?
My prowess is 3.
Hey, guess what? Guess what Rios is?
I'm guessing it's like 5.
It is 5.
Nice.
Okay, so The way this works is essentially is a contested prowess,
Okay.
right? So what you're gonna do is yeah.
Okay, go ahead and continue.
But the way it works is that for as many wagers as you save, that's how much damage you can inflict. And the way it works is that each wager counts as 1 injury. 5 injuries each injury is severe, but 5 injuries is incapacitation.
Okay. Now, can I invoke things?
Yes, absolutely. What are you invoking?
Courtly Duelist.
Okay. Courtly duelist. I thought that. Okay. Yeah.
Yes. Yep. Matters of honor must be answered with martial prowess when necessary.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So yeah, so I have 6 dice available to me, and we just do this until someone hits 5 wagers of success.
Yeah.
Okay. I am going to go ahead and set aside 3 wagers for this.
Okay.
That's a failure.
So, Rio set aside 5,
Okay.
but he rolled an 8, so he also failed. So to
All right.
describe the scene, Rios pulls out this particularly wide blade, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the duel is set, and everyone is watching with amazement. And the two of you go at it, and you just miss each other and whiff completely.
You hear a Bon in the back just cheering.
We can go again, or we can end it there. But I have a feeling you're going to want to go again.
Oh, I'm going to want to go again. And I'm willing to spend style points to get my Courtly Duelist back for that.
Okay.
I'm going to go for the same thing here, yeah. Oh, fuck. Nope.
Yeah, that time he got a 13. So,
Okay.
And as you go at each other again, it kind of dawns on you, like, who else could have possibly murdered? Like, who could have inflicted that wound on Enreal Tamil? Who could have wielded that giant blade as this giant blade strikes you down? And he doesn't send you flying, but he does knock you down. It is a pretty grievous wound.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are willing to surrender, he will let you live.
Yeah, I will.
Okay. And he puts his blade away. And there's cheering from the crowd. They loved that. That was fantastic. This is one of the best parties they've ever been to. So, you're wounded, both pride and physically, but you're still alive. Still
Yeah.
kicking. And you can let that revenge, like the notion of revenge, just burn and season you for.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
We'll just kill another senator. It's fine.
Yeah, there's plenty of other senators to kill.
Anything else? Bond,
No.
you really want to take your
Yes.
grievances? You do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Listen, I wouldn't have, except he compelled me at that time, so it's got to take it to the logical conclusion. The logical conclusion is me stabbing him until he dies.
I asked Rios if I can
what
borrow his sword. For I do not have one.
Rico says no. So what is the claim? It is important you articulate this claim correctly.
Injury to my honor, to my reputation, injury to my ability to have the respect of my peers,
What happened?
He insinuated in front of the entire party that I was an impotent child.
And then I did it again in the courtroom.
In front of all the witnesses.
I gotta hold on. Let me see who is. Remind me who is on this jury. Where's my note?
Well, I have him here.
Yeah, I got him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of them's a poison teddy bear, apparently.
Yeah, they find your claims legitimate, and that he has insulted you, and if you wish, they sanction the duel.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. Let's go.
Okay.
I will need someone to furnish me a weapon.
All right, let's see. Hold
What
on.
kind of weapon would you like?
A gun.
I ask for a soft pillow, a drawstring bed, and a goblet of wine. I'll take from my weapon.
Someone fancies a small small metal sword for you. Almost looks like a child's toy.
All right, I'll take it.
All right.
What kind of
This
check is
a
this?
contested prowess risk.
Now,
Okay, all right.
I'm gonna spend my last style points to
On.
refresh my aspect, loved by women. Because I'm gonna lose the fuck out of this duel. But I'm gonna lose in such a way that one or more women in the audience will feel sorry for me and swoon over my injuries afterwards.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So I got a 3 prowess. I'm going to spend a style point to refresh the righteous fury of youth. So since this is about my honor, and then I'm going to spend all 3 of my insights into the way of Falvrin Deer. And then I'm going to 1, 2, 3. Now when they say so this right here is the strike bid, right? So I were to
Yes.
okay. All right. So I only need to put 2 of these to the side because my sword gets +3 to the strike bid.
Okay. So you're really gonna try to kill him, huh?
I'm just rolling these 5, I guess. And whatever this little thing is. I have no wagers either. So, I'm just trying to go down stylishly.
I'm not going to kill him, but I am going to
Now.
I am going to castrate him.
Whoa!
Now here's the funny thing.
What?
You remember when we were coming up with artifacts?
Right.
And
That's
there's that whole section called Doom.
Yes. Yes.
Oh no!
And no, I got nothing. Like, if you want to castrate him, it's fine.
And he
Like,
shall
is
have
that
his
where you're
life.
aiming?
Yeah. I'm aiming down low.
And as you strike, there's gasps from the women in the crowd and cries going, "No!" Ah! As you bring down your ally of 5 minutes ago. At least 5 minutes ago.
It's been like 10.
And women rush from the crowd to give Rezi medical attention, even though they have no medical training whatsoever.
No, it's fine. It heals up in like a year or whatever.
Well, but he's not killing you, so.
Yes. But there will be no more children from.
Alright. Is there anything else?
How many wounds were there?
5?
There was 5, which is incapacitation, really.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm unconscious.
Okay.
I have the winning. I have the women fawning over me. I win. You see, it's not actually about winning. It's making winning and losing indistinguishable from each other.
All right. I guess that wraps it up. Unless someone has something else, I would like to do a bit of a post-mortem on this.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So it's okay.
All right. And thus ends the tale of Byron Rio.
Clearly not. He's a senator who's going places apparently.
No, he's gonna get assassinated. He's gone. This teddy bear lady's gonna take him out.
All right. I've had some thoughts, but I want to hear what your thoughts are first.
It's definitely a lot different of flavor from like D&D, like
Yeah.
clearly. And I mean I guess that's what he was going for.
It's very John Wick.
I don't know if I'd call it the anti D&D.
I would.
It's anti D&D in the sense that there's no real advancement to the game, and you're not really progressing. If this were a full-fledged campaign, I would have reeled it in some. I would have been more of a stickler about, wagers and sticking to additional ands and stuff like that. But I let it kind of free flow in terms of establishing narrative. For those who don't know, I cut out a whole part of just Catan-like development called like season actions, where you're maintaining your lands and you got to count your vessels and you're taking tally of like all of the stock, like all of the minerals and resources you have. And I'm sure it's all very compelling, but like for a one shot, there's absolutely no need to do something like that.
Yeah.
So, I will say one thing I don't like about this system is that if you want to play a character who's not wise, then you have no say on the world whatsoever. Because one of the default mechanics is that if you want to establish something in the world, you make a wisdom risk, right?
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, wow, wisdom is the heavy.
Yeah, if you don't have a character with wisdom, like you're kind of screwed in that regard. And maybe like for people that's okay, but like for a narrative game, that's really kind of important. So I don't know how I feel about that in terms of the mechanics. What about you guys?
My
have
problem
fun.
with these kinds of storytelling games in general is like the reason they're not as popular as their authors very clearly want them to be is because all of them are kind of predicated on this idea that there's no such thing as a bad actor. You're never going to have a player or a storyteller come to the table in bad faith. And I think it's important for a tabletop game, if you're going to try to market and sell it and reach a wide audience, like D&D has rules. If you have a bad actor at the table, the rules determine who's right and who's wrong. You can't really break the game by breaking the rules because the rules are very clear. Whereas in this game, this game, the game is at the mercy of a bad actor because the only way to stop the bad actor is for the storyteller to come into it.
Yes.
And
the GM plays the judge essentially.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you, I know that McDohl you have. I don't know if the other two have, but has read the kind of wishy-washy way that John Wick kind of baked in to deal with it about, well, he calls it bad form. Like the GM can call bad form on a player. Like that's not the way to deal with a bad actor at the table.
No, and what it is like Wick is so intent on making like storytelling games, and he plays with people who always act in good faith that he's already not great at coming up with like systems for things, but he doesn't want to come up with like foolproof systems of like, okay, how do I deal with min-maxers? How do I deal with bad actors? Like I have to come up with systematic things, and he doesn't want to do that.
That's kind of a secondary trait that I see a lot in more storytelling focused games is you get people who they clearly just want to make a storytelling system, and then the mechanics are almost an afterthought.
Yeah.
And this game had that kind of feeling. Another game I've played that feels like that is called Mouse Guard. If you've ever played Mouse Guard, it's very similar to that. And the mechanics don't make sense because you're not supposed to think about them too much. You're just supposed to like all tell a story together.
Yeah.
I think
that's essentially it.
I feel like we were telling stories around each other, and they intersected.
Yeah.
In some of the things, but like it was fun. Like
Do you think that was
I
a
had a good
detriment
time.
though? Did you think that not like, okay, start telling stories around each other then with each other, but was that a bad thing? Did it detract from the experience at all?
I think it could have used more focus, definitely.
Like, I don't know. It's like if you're
I don't
just
know how much of that is down to the system being unable to compensate for it, or just our general idiocy.
I think part of it is our general idiocy, but I can see a problem with not necessarily a bad actor, like per se, someone coming in and trying to ruin things, but someone who is trying to basically write fan fiction with a live audience.
Yeah, exactly. Like the way John Wick deals with it in his book is he basically over and over and over again he states this, that the players are not in competition. We're all here to tell a story. But the reality is when two players have conflict in the game, there needs to be a way to resolve that outside of just saying, guys, remember we're all friends. Like it's just a cool thing we're doing.
I don't know if that's necessarily true, at least in this system. I just think the mechanics of it are, I don't think they're strong enough because it's like, oh, the GM gets to decide like what bad form is. It's like,
yeah,
there's an anecdote in the core rulebook of him playing with, I think it's Matthew Mercer, and what they do is at the beginning of every game is they ask if it's a friendly game. And if it's not a friendly game, then both players understand that like it's really cutthroat and it's all no holds barred and anything goes. And I don't know why it has to break down that way, why it has to be that kind of dichotomy, when I think it's going to ebb and flow. Like sometimes you want to be really competitive and other times it's just like, yeah, whatever. Like, because sometimes like another player might have a cooler idea than you.
John Wick asks that, or Matt Mercer asks that about being a friendly game?
I think they ask it of each
other
when they play together. Yeah.
Here's the problem that I would see with it from my experience is you'll have a player at the table, like everybody starts saying, I don't want a friendly game, I want to be cutthroat. But then the person at the table who does want a friendly game isn't going to speak up and say anything because they don't want to be the outcast.
Absolutely.
And now they've got to play this game where everybody's stabbing them.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have been that person in World of Darkness games for many years.
Like, I understand that too, because like those kind of games never go anywhere because everybody is just mired in their own. Like, I don't want to use. Like, I'm not gonna say the word because it's a bad word, and like, but like their own bullcrap. Like everyone's just mired in their own little. Like I said, they're
language.
Okay, everybody was mired in their own fuckery, and they don't want to. Like I said, they want to kind of make their own. I'm trying to get in the habit of not cussing.
Yeah, no joke.
Like, everybody is trying to like make their special snowflake like OC. Like that's been like I've tried to play World of Darkness with people before, and that's exactly what every game has boiled down to. It's like, oh yeah, well I kill your character because F you.
Yeah, that's that's a lot of World of Darkness. Part of the fun that I have with any game, tabletop games especially, because I play a lot of them, but any game is I actually get enjoyment out of correctly following a set of rules. Like, I would rather play the game correctly and lose than bend the rules to let myself win. And so a game like D&D always appeals to me because there's so many rules, and the interactions sometimes require arbitration, but there is an answer to every question. And if you don't believe me, check Chris Perkins' Twitter, because he's answering these questions all the time.
Yep.
If John Wick had a Twitter and we're like, hey, we had a problem in Houses of the Blooded, how would you arbitrate this? He'd just be like, just do it, man! use your imagination. Everybody's my friend.
Whatever feels good.
Yeah, do whatever feels good. So, to me, what feels good is following the rules correctly. So, I'm glad that John Wick is writing games, and 7th Sea is much, much better about
Yes.
all of these things.
It is.
So the
In fact,
seventh.
I'd argue 7th Sea is not really a narrative game.
It's the least, like, fuzzy game that I would still probably put in the narrative pile, but you're right. It's a lot crunchier than...
Yeah, because there's very clear progression.
Mhm.
There's very clear mechanics on things like combat, duels, and even sailing has mechanics. And as opposed to a game like this, where it's just like, I want to talk about opera for 30 pages. All right, cool.
Like this, the rule book for this is very
Dense.
well. Like I feel like a lot of it focuses on the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Like just constantly, you're like you said, he'll spend
So-
like a sentence on an actual mechanical thing and then 30 pages on opera.
So, I know we've ragged on him a lot, but like his strength really is world building. Like,
Yeah,
coming
no
up with
joke. Like I,
factions and histories, and that is genuinely his strength. And it,
So,
it is
like-
very compelling.
for a character that I played for just 2 days and then I'm gonna just leave on the shelf. Like this is like I got into this like a lot more than I thought I was going to.
I don't know. It's just like, you know, I feel like I guess I know that this is like you said that was the second printing of it, so it's been edited.
Updated, yeah.
Yeah, but like I don't know. It's just like all this stuff sounds like it would be in a like that's the kind of stuff that would be in a campaign setting book that is separate from the rules.
Yeah.
Like
Don't get me wrong. He has those too.
Sure does.
In fact, he's got LARPing rules for this game too, which I think is hysterical.
No.
Actually, I think I'm owed a hardcover version of the New Worlds splat book for 7th Sea because I backed it on Kickstarter. I'll have to check into that.
I gotta check in on that too. But I like what drew me to this game was the idea of like names have power. I found that really, really compelling, and that's what ultimately drew me in. And it's always been on the back of my mind of like, okay, yeah, this is like a fuzzy narrative game with like not a lot of hard rules, but like it's all stuff he's come up with. This is all more or less original material. And while he writes in a style that I can't stand and is hyper contradictory with everything, it is kind of fascinating, even though it does fit the mold of Legend of the Five Rings, 7th Sea. Faction.
It's a nice place to visit, but we don't want to live there.
Yeah, like
Basically. Fun
I
for
imagine-
a one shot.
yeah, I imagine like running a full-fledged campaign of this is actually quite the night. Because not only do you have to be up on all of the lore and how all of the factions break down and how all of that works, all of your players have to be too. And that is
Yeah.
a lot of like,
That's a tall ask. Yeah.
yeah.
gosh, I have like several. I have like
Whereas-
2 pages of notes here just for this session, right?
Whereas like 7th Sea, you know, it's just like, oh, Europe. Like, all right, I get it. And like Five Rings is samurai. Got it. Like there's always like that background behind it, or it's just like if you're not sure of something, you have a pretty good like instinct going. This game, it's like you got to be like a John Wick professional to understand like these games and like memorize all of this information. And I guess that's ultimately my biggest criticism of this game. That as much as I enjoy it, I can't imagine there's like any stickiness to this game whatsoever.
That's
Like-
that's pretty true of any tabletop game where there's no character advancement.
Yeah.
There was a game called Little. Have you ever heard of Little Fears? This is a game
Yeah,
from
we've
15
talked
years
about it.
ago.
We've talked about it a little bit.
Has-
now and then.
It has kind of there's no character advancement. Your character just eventually either goes insane or dies. So it's really great for like maybe 4 sessions, but you can't play it longer than that.
Yeah. And I think what this game is supposed to be is like there's supposed to be like a lot of intrigue and a lot of like players bouncing off of each other. And like again, I don't know how much that sticks because like by session 6, I just imagine players just being like, yeah, no, like I get it. Like we're bouncing off each other. Another thing that I was surprised about, which was actually really let down by, was just how little tags and compels came into it. Part of that again is because he hates writing about mechanics and like concrete examples of like when these would be like useful, but like I really like them as an idea, and I think the execution of them is terrible.
Well,
I think I think I tagged one of you guys. I think I tried to tag each of you once. I don't even think I was successful at that. But
No, you tagged me once because that's what set me onto the whole deal. I'm going to be a senator.
Right. And like imagining that like 6 sessions in where it's like if you actually got to like the good tags and compels and you're tagging and compelling each other, I can see players being very frustrated.
I think as a player, I would not tag or compel another PC in an actual serious campaign, just because I'm not a very adversarial player. So I think over a course of a longer campaign, I would just become resentful that like, oh, I'm not trying to screw you guys, but you're all screwing me. So cool. Yeah, it's a cool story we're writing here.
Also, I can see where that would be resentful because you're basically somebody's telling you how to play your character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think that's what he was trying to alleviate with here, yeah, you can have this style point for if you want to do this. Which I guess
that's how. That's because that's how,
kind of the mitigating factor to
that. Invokes work because essentially, if you want to do this, here's your style point. I think in earlier editions there weren't even compels. It was literally just tags and invokes and tags. So I imagine they had to, or he had to implement like that third tier of just like, here's your reward for doing something like this, which makes a bit more sense. I think mechanically they're interesting.
I do too.
It does create an adversarial relationship, which in a narrative game, I guess, is fine. But I was just disappointed that they didn't come up more. Like there weren't really opportunities to tag and compel more often.
I didn't know anybody's tags or compels.
Yeah, right. That's the other thing too. Is like because the mechanics are so not well defined. Like
it's like how much
you're supposed to make a cunning risk to figure out other tags and compels, and it's like. Really, that's like the best you could come up with, because then it's just like you have wisdom and compel now being like 2 things outside of your character that you really need to be mechanically involved in this game.
I think that when it comes to collaborative storytelling games, if that's what a table is interested in, I think they're much better off with something like A Quiet Year or Once Upon a Time, or something that's kind of geared towards creating a collaborative story, but without the sense that everybody has their own character.
Yeah, no.
And has a goal that you're trying to work for individually. And I've never had any difficulty telling a quote unquote collaborative story with something like D&D.
For sure.
I think everything John Wick says he wants out of games like this, I've always gotten those nutrients out of Dungeons and Dragons.
Have you played Fiasco?
I feel like I have.
Because Fiasco is I think a really good like collaborative story. But again, the idea there is just like you've already resigned yourself to like a tragic end for your character, and like nothing good can ever come out of it anyway.
Oh, I guess I'm thinking of something. I think I was thinking of Paranoia.
Oh yeah, I guess. Fiasco is it's very collaborative, but the idea there is like the theming of a Fiasco is just like these like heist movies gone wrong and shit like that. The idea is just like it's deliberately baked into the game, where it's just like everything's gonna go wrong and it's gonna be hilarious. I was almost thinking about running Fiasco, but I decided against it because I was like, Ren has the blooded. Because John Wick.
Well, thank you
90
for.
pages. Here's 90 pages on the opera. Here's
Thank
12
you.
pages about what all the colors mean in Ven Society. Okay.
I'm glad we were introduced to this game. I'm glad John Wick wrote it.
I'm very I very much enjoyed my time with it.
I'm glad you guys enjoyed it at least. I figured you guys would enjoy yourselves. System shortcomings notwithstanding.
Also, the meaning
I
to
also
my
think
character's secret name was destined to fall.
That's fair.
Yeah, that checks out.
Didn't hit the secret meaning of my character's name.
All right, thanks for playing, guys. Thanks for running this for us, McDohl.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we'll see
See
everybody
ya.
next time.
Oh, are we